Hello, and welcome to the WireCast, the video podcast of Wiregrass Georgia Technical College. Hello, and welcome to the WireCast, the video podcast of Wiregrass Georgia Technical College. I'm Michael Williams, Executive Vice President, and I'll be your host for this episode here on the WireCast. We share conversations that highlight the people, programs, and stories that make Wiregrass such a vital part of our community. So thanks for joining us today. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our guest, Chairman Bill Slaughter of the Lowndes County Board of Commissioners.
Good morning, Michael.
Great to see you, Bill.
Good to see you.
I've known you for a while, but I consider you a friend now, particularly over the last few years. We've spent enough time together, but I can remember the first time I really remember getting into a conversation with you was at Ocean Pond. Maybe it was not the last one, but 2 or 3, maybe 3 years ago, the Veterans Memorial out there. And I was shocked to find out that you weren't always from Lowndes County. You looked to me like you had just grown up there by that pond. And I mean, and you may have, I know, but I still didn't know your full story. Yeah. But you told me then that you came with your parents, they left, and you remained.
That's right.
And then I know you told your story at our Eagle celebration the other day, and I wasn't there.
Okay.
So I just kind of wanted to hear it from you. I know you've got some connections to Wiregrass and how you came to be in Lowndes County, and I'll just kind of let you tell your story.
All right. Well, briefly, to get started, of course, I'm 70 years old now. I was born in 1955. My parents actually went through a divorce and separation and a divorce, probably around 1960. About when I was 5 years old. I had a brother. Well, we ended up with a blended family at that point. My dad ended up with the custody of the two boys, his two boys. So we were with that blended family. And as Dad used to always say, he had two, she had two, and they have two. So that made 6. So there was 6 of us most all the time at home. And we grew up together. We were stepbrothers and sisters and half-brothers and half-sisters and those sort of things. And so we had a really good family dynamic. We grew up that way. My parents were very hardworking people, and they believed in work ethics. And so my work ethics really came from those two. They worked extremely hard. Dad was a welder/mechanic. A lot of the things that's taught out here at Wiregrass, and of course he was very good in those areas. And my stepmother was a stay-at-home mom, and so she raised all 6 of us kids, and it wasn't always easy. You know, the dynamics, if you could imagine, with a blended family. But
I have one. You know.
Okay. Well, it works. If you want to make it work, then it works. Well, we worked on through the processes and then what really my experience as we go along, my dad was in the construction business and the industrial construction business. So we spent a lot of time out in Texas and South Louisiana. So that is basically where I like to say that I grew up at. Mm-hmm. I was out there from the time I was 7 years old till about 13, 14. I did spend a couple of years with my mother off and on down in South Florida and Hollywood, so I got a little bit of vision of the big cities. Yeah. And so I delivered papers down there when I lived down there with her. So again, just those good work ethics and the dynamics of basically entrepreneurship. You know, that's to me for a paper route is one of the first things because you have to run it like a little business. So I had that down there, and then my stepmother was from this area. So that really is how I ended up here. She made an attempt to get my dad off of the road, off of that traveling construction business, because there was a long time there that us kids, from the time I was in the 3rd grade till probably the 8th grade, I don't really recall spending a full school year in the same school system, because my dad's work just carried him from job to job, and it was wherever it was needed at. So we moved around a lot during that period of time. So again, she tried to settle him down a little bit. She got him into South Georgia, which is where she was from here. And that lasted 3-4 years, something along those lines, maybe 5. And my dad just got the hankering basically to get back on the road again. So that's what they done. And so I used a little analogy. I said, they came through, dropped me off, and left. And that's about the way that I actually ended up here in Lowndes County, and it's been home to me ever since. That was probably in the early 70s at that time. So again, I was very blessed that they came here. This has always been, to me, this has always been home. I've never had anywhere else that felt more like home than here in Lowndes County. So this is home.
Yeah, you're Mr. Lowndes County to me. I believe it's home.
Well, and it's really been good to me. And then, of course, to jump forward a little bit, I was about 17 years old, was still in high school, and we had a tragedy basically in our life, and that was we lost our entire home, my dad's home. That little story was I was doing a lot of work and going to school at the same time. I was working a 12-hour shift down at the Days Inn at Exit 2, and as some folks has been around a long time will remember where the Days Inn and Exit 2, all that area is. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was working a 12-hour shift down there, and then I'd come home, I'd shower, I'd jump in the car, I'd go to school, and then come back in somewhere around 1 o'clock back home, and then I'd just go straight to bed because I got about 3 to 4 hours sleep, and then I had to turn around and go back to work. So I was doing that, and it was working fine. And then I came home one afternoon, just like I said, slipped into bed, closed the door to the bedroom, went to sleep. Well, I woke, and when I woke to breaking glass. And I thought initially, I said, boy, one of the younger kids are going to be in trouble. Somebody's done broke a window or something like that. Mm-hmm. That was just kind of my first instinct. And then I did what everybody says don't do. I went to the door and grabbed a hold of the doorknob. I opened the door up to my bedroom, and when I did, then smoke and flames just come right over the top of my head. So out a window I went. That was my only option at that time.
The sound you heard was a sibling doing the same thing? Or?
No. Before I had went to bed, my stepmother was there, and her oldest daughter was there, and she had a child who was there with her. And my concern was for them when I woke up and realized that the house was on fire. Then so I went out the window, I ran around to the back of the house to see if I could get anywhere else closer. And of course, the whole house was engulfed in flames at that time. And I didn't know where they were at, to be honest with you. So kind of got everything pulled together. I saw I couldn't do anything with the fire. Phone lines had already been burnt off and was out, so we didn't have any landlines, and this was way before cell phones. So I just took off around the corner. I jumped in my dad's little Datsun pickup, and I ran around the corner. Well, I happened to meet my stepmother and my sister coming, and that was really a blessing to see that they were actually safe.
Sure, yeah.
So I was doing that to call the fire department, and get somebody there. But anyway, at the end of the day, everybody was safe. We lost no life. But we lost all of our possessions. And at that time, then, of course, still going to school, and this was in the early 70s. And so things just kind of rocked on. I'm sure my dad was probably underinsured because we didn't build back right away. Mm-hmm. So we actually put a single-wide mobile home up on the property, and that's where we were all living. For a long time, I would just sleep on the couch, so I kind of had to wait for everybody to go to bed before I could actually go to bed. So we got through that situation, and so ultimately, at the end of the day, though, the work schedule, losing the home, everything just compiled all at one time. I ended up at that point making a decision that I would drop out of high school. Tough decision, But it was what we needed to do. It's what I needed to do. So I did that and just went to work full time at that point. Living at home, still providing for the family, helping, provide for the family. Mm-hmm. My dad was the sole breadwinner. All the rest of us kind of worked little jobs, summer jobs like you did a long time ago around in the ag industry and those sort of things, helping grow, crop tobacco and do that sort of stuff.
Load watermelons. That's what I used to do.
Well, we didn't have any watermelons around here, but we had a lot of tobacco and a lot of pecans to pick up. So that's what we would do. And so with the dynamics of the family, we survived. We got through. Everybody was doing good. But it did create a situation to where I ended up leaving school and did not finish high school. So then rock on for a few more years, maybe just one or two. Back then it seemed like it was forever, but I'm sure.
They go faster now.
They do. But anyway, I went to work with a company and had worked with that company for about 6 months and started it early spring, late winter. And then summer got here, and of course school was getting out, and the employer that I had at that time working with the individual, he hired 2 new guys. Well, you know how stuff in the shop gets to going around, and the next thing you knew, here I was making $2.25 an hour and had been with the company for 5 to 6 months earlier. Well, he hires these 2 guys in that was right out of high school at $2.50 an hour. So I'm saying, what's going on here? I've got 6 months time on them. I'm doing my job. I'm working hard. So I just go and sit down with him. I say, you just hired these 2 guys and you're paying them $2.50, me $2.25. So
that was a bigger difference back then.
It was a big difference to me. I mean, we used to get raises back then. We talked about nickels and dimes.
Yeah.
And to have somebody making a quarter more per hour than what you was making, it bothered me. It sure did, so I wanted to find out why. Well, he was just straight up and honest with me. He said, Bill, they've got one thing that you don't have, and that's a high school education. And I said, yep, you're right. And so I got to figure, and I said, now, how can I fix this if I can fix it? So I found out about WireCast. Back that time, it was Valtech. Mm-hmm. And so I came out here, and I found about the GED program. And so I enrolled in the GED program, went to classes at night, still could work during the day and do all those sort of things. So I went to school out here at night for the GED. Teacher, wonderful instructor. Everything was really good. And apparently there's a timeline on when the classes or the tests are given for the classes. So he told me, he said, you need to go ahead and take the test. He said, you're solid. Just go ahead and take the test. And then, you'll be fine. So I did. I took the test, got my GED, was in the 80 percentile group. So I said, I can live with a B all day long, So I did, and I got that. And so I had my GED, and I still have it. I can take you right now and show you. I almost brought it with me, but I could show you that certificate. And that meant a lot to me at that time. But it was the motivation that my employer gave me indirectly, telling me that I was just a little bit short of what I really needed to be able to be equal to other people that I was working with.
He believed education mattered.
He did. Mm-hmm. He was big. On education. As a matter of fact, I ended up working at that company for 46 and a half years, ended up buying the company, ended up marrying the boss's daughter. So all of those things just kind of, God, I say this all the time, God's been so good to me and looked after me because there's no way that I really could have just laid all this stuff out and said, this is the way I want to do things. No, God had his hand in it. God was looking after me on all this sort of stuff. But the biggest thing that I would say is that I never turned away from an opportunity. I always looked at what was the next and best opportunity. I studied it. Some opportunities would come and you said, no, maybe that's not a good fit. But you had to study each one of those opportunities that you have so that you know which opportunity is the best for you. And everybody gets opportunities. Sometimes those opportunities are really negative opportunities, and then you go in that direction and you make bad decisions through your life based on a bad opportunity. But reality is I've been really blessed. Most every decision that I've made, I tell folks, I've only known of 2 bad decisions that I really regret. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I make bad decisions. We all do. But that really affected me, that bothers me even to this day. And one I was able to correct, and the other one I never will be able to correct. But that was, going into the military, serving my time, my 4 years in the military. I always thought about that. I regret not doing that. When you were younger, I had that opportunity. And I had the opportunity to go in the military, almost went in, but I found out that I had fell in love, and so I was in a situation there that wasn't going to work. So I ended up not going in the military, and then, of course, my decision to drop out of high school earlier was one decision there that I regret. So that's the one of the 2. But I was able to fix, with the help of what is now WireCast, I was able to fix the one that meant the most for me as far as job opportunities go. But it's about never giving up. That's really what it is. And it's always the thing that WireCast did for me. It wasn't that they gave me a GED. I mean, that was important. This is where I had to come to get it. But it wasn't the GED necessarily. It was the path of learning that was set forth, because I had to go back to school. I had to go back to class at night, and I had to learn not only a job that I was doing, but I also had to learn, the academic side of it, so that I could get past that GED test. And so I did that, but it set me on a lifelong path of learning. I register right now. Matter of fact, I did this morning for a seminar, basically for classes, because I never want to quit learning.
Yeah.
You want to always learn. Well, WireCast out here gives adults that opportunity to come out here. If you don't have your high school diploma, come out here and get your GED. I think at the graduation, there were almost 80 students that actually had gotten GEDs during that period of time. There was probably 30 or 40 of them that was actually there at graduation with cap and gown. They wanted to go through that whole process. It was good, and it made me proud to be able to see that they also were trying to rectify a mistake somewhere in their life. Something came up, something changed that happened to them that got them off track of where they really needed to be at, but because of determination and the willingness to do it, and the desire maybe to do something else that required that high school education.
That's right.
They made that decision to go back to school and get that diploma, and now they're set on a path of learning as I was, so they can learn whatever they want to do. They can come out here to WireCast, they can get welding, they can get automotive repair, nurses. There's just almost unlimited opportunities for people to come out here and get some higher education, learn the training. I think it's 99% of the students that graduate here at WireCast, they have a job.
That's right.
They go right into the workforce. Now, advanced several years, and I'm retired from the business that I bought. Back in 91, I bought it, and then I retired in 2018. Sold that business as a family business. I sold it to my 2 sons, who is now running that business. My partner, who was my brother-in-law at the time, and my wife at that time, we were running the business. So we all retired, and we kind of turned it over now to the 3rd generation, and we're letting them run that business. And so they're doing a fantastic job, and really, really proud of them. But since that time, I've gotten into local politics. I ran for an office for the chairman of the Lowndes County Commission. And so you
ran for chairman first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is an elected position here in Lowndes County. Some communities, some counties will just rotate the chairmanship around, but Lowndes County elects their chairperson. So as a commissioner goes, they're all elected by districts. We have 5 different districts, but the chairman is the only one that is elected countywide. So when I campaigned, it was a countywide campaign, and that was a lot of work too at that time. But I got through it. I won election was actually elected in 2012, took office in 2013, and I have been in office ever since. The citizens have found that I guess I'm doing a good enough job because they keep sending me back. But the thing, once I got into local politics and as the chairman of the county commission, Wiregrass became even more important because it's job creation. It's what you're doing out here. You're training individuals so that they can be prepared to go into the workforce, which is what we as a community needs. When we're recruiting businesses and industries in this community, one of the biggest things that they want to know is, what is your workforce like? And so we have to look at those numbers. And what we always come back to our educational institutions. Number one, we come to Wiregrass that can put any program that you probably need in place for you to help you in a new business as an industry. We can train your workforce for you, get those sort of things done. Also, we've got Valdosta State University, and we've got Georgia Military College that's here as well. And then another big resource that the community has is Moody Air Force Base. We get folks that are transitioning out. We've got some great leaders out there that are retiring. They come into our community, and some of them come right straight out here to Wiregrass to learn a new trade, and then they go right into the workforce. Well, those folks come in, there is no issues with work ethics because they understand that, through the military. So the military has already trained them for those sort of things. So they come in and learn another trade. They come into our community, and then they go to work. And so, again, Wiregrass has been a huge part to me in this community through my growth from my very early years right on through to now. I serve out here as a member of the foundation board, which I'm very, very proud of. And I'm very proud of the work that particular board does, again, to benefit students that's out here at Wiregrass. Because if you have the difficulties, and you even as adults can still have difficulty that gets you off of a track that you have set for yourself. So what the foundation can do in some cases is that we can help students get over those life hurdles that maybe has thrown in front of them that is preventing them from finishing, even getting their degree or their diploma out here at Wiregrass. So I feel real strong. My heart leads me, as always, is to help other people be able to get through some of the obstacles they have in life. But again, Wiregrass has always played a big part in my life. I've come back out here for different training and different things. I've never really graduated per se from a class or from the HVAC business or anything like that. But it's just the camaraderie that's out here. It's the instructors. It's the students. I mean, you seldom ever see anybody without a smile on their face because they're happy, they're learning something, and they have an end goal, and that is to be able to find a job that they can earn fair enough wages that they can provide for their families, work hard in them, make some good money. Who knows, may one day become a business owner. Some choose to do that.
Many do. Mm-hmm.
Some do, and some don't. I mean, there's some great stories that comes out of Wiregrass of some wonderful people here, right here in Lowndes County, that has done wonderful with businesses that they've had. And now they give back to Wiregrass as well. They give back to this community. So again, it's just a great opportunity if you're younger and you're trying to set a path and you're trying to get things improved. This is the best place out here that you're going to find that you can get started with that process. Great counselors out here. People will lead you through everything that you need to do to help you get through it. But again, I just encourage folks, if you get the opportunity and you have the desire to do something different in your life or to improve things for yourself and your family, come out to Wiregrass. It'll happen out here.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You're such a great advocate for education, not just for our college, but like you said, VSU and
that's right.
GMC. And I always assumed it was just the politician in you.
No.
I didn't know that you had such a passionate backstory.
Yeah.
And I was impressed on that D.C. trip this year with you guys, and just all local politics is bipartisan.
That's right.
It's not about, the way this country is so divided.
Yeah.
But then when you go in there and you're arguing for local issues, everybody's in agreement.
Everybody's on the same page.
And you guys had a great relationship with every legislator we met.
We do. There's no need, and to me, party politics is really kind of a state of mind, and you can put any twist or any angle you want to put on it. But just like you said, local politics is not partisan politics. I serve as commissioners. We have 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and we couldn't tell you who is who.
That's right.
From a standpoint of what your party.
Being in the room, I didn't know and I didn't want to know.
Yeah, that's right. And we have to as county commissioners, we have to by law declare a party when we run. Now, folks like city council members, they don't. They don't have to do that. But we do, and so it's just part of what we do. I have always been a lifelong Republican. It's just the way I think. It's the way I'm wired. It's the way I've been trained and all that. So I have always been a lifelong Republican. But again, when you get in a room working with people and you're trying to resolve an issue in your community, party politics has no place and you don't even see it. It doesn't even come up in most all of the meetings that we have, because people are, again, when you sit around a table and you start discussing whatever your issues are, a group of good-minded folks are going to find a good solution, and it never will be whether I'm a Democrat, so this is my position, or I'm a Republican, this is my position. That has nothing to do with it.
Well, I went to college at VSU for my master's degree, and I graduated in 2003. And I graduated in May, and I got some classes for that fall just as an adjunct. But then in the interim, I wound up getting a full-time job at ABAC.
Yeah.
Initially at ABAC on the square, so I was still living down here. My point is, my path, I thought that I was going to remain in Valdosta the rest of my life. But I do have that relationship with it way back. And so it has been interesting watching it grow over the last 25, 30 years. And from my viewpoint now, I've been vice president of economic development for a couple of years, so I'm always focused on the manufacturing and seeing our glass and Walmart dairy come into town. But and I have noticed the downtown has really improved. But what are you most proud of in Valdosta, Lowndes County?
There's so much that we've been able to do over the last 13 years while I was there, while I'm in office for the Lowndes County Commission. But really, when it gets right down to it, it's the people in this community. It's your neighbors. It's the folks that, when I was in the heating and air conditioning business and I had competitors, I never looked at people as competitors. I always looked at them as friends. We would have discussions. We'd talk about the market. We'd talk about different things. But we never talked about who had what customer and who was doing work for who. Because it really, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. You just you go out there and you do the job the best that you can possibly do. You have the responsibility of running a business and keeping a business in the black. So at the end of the day, it really doesn't have anything to do with who you're competing with. It's how you compete with the business itself. And those are some things I think that really helped me, those early years of wanting to always move myself forward. You just mentioned a little bit of your education and what was required. You probably wouldn't be in your position now if you had not made the decision to go to school and get more education, get those degrees, simply because it a lot of times the jobs require that. But most of the time, what you find again out at WireCast, a lot of these are skilled jobs. It doesn't necessarily require a degree to do that job. But what it does require is that it requires that good work ethics. You have to have that willingness and that ability to learn and to, basically go back to school, because even in my business that I was in the heating and air conditioning business, I was there 46 and a half years, and you can only imagine how the business changed over 46 and a half years. Well, if I wasn't willing to learn, weren't willing to understand that the business was growing and that techniques and technology and all was
you had to figure out what a variable speed drive was at some point.
All of those sort of things. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised you know what a variable speed drive is, but I mean, that's just.
I just pretend. I've been out here long enough. I pick up some of our.
You're the only one that I've run across that understands that. But anyway, the point is that all of that technology changes. So if you're not willing to learn, all of a sudden you're going to find your business is way behind as well. Mm-hmm. And you can't service your customers the way you should because you don't have the knowledge that you could have gotten even coming out to WireCast for some seminars or coming out to WireCast and say, listen, I'm weak on variable speed technology. Can somebody help me with that? Mm-hmm. And they'll do that. That's the thing about it. So I think that the key is just it's the right mindset for all of us. As I've said, WireCast put me on the path of learning. It's not the traditional way, but it has been my way, and it's been a way that's worked for me. I'm not sitting here and advocating that folks need to leave high school and jump into work and then go get a GED. No. That route for me was the route that I took to try to correct something that I had made a mistake in my life with. So
it sounds like you've said that a few times, but you really didn't have much of a choice.
I didn't.
And so it's just you tried to correct something that life forced you down.
Well, I'm probably trying to encourage folks out there as much that's in the same situation, because when folks have to make a decision in their life, a lot of times decisions like that, it's for a broad spectrum of reasons. Mm-hmm. Mine was because the family needed more income, and there was no way I could continue on the path that I was going, getting 4 hours of sleep a night if I was lucky, if the house didn't burn down around me. Then we were all fine, we would continue to do those things. But it's just life events sometimes gets in your way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. And you have to be strong enough then that you can, the old saying is, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and say, okay, this is what I need to do to make things right or to get better. The only option I had at that time wasn't option number one, going back to high school and finish the traditional path. I couldn't do that because I was already out of school long mm-hmm. enough, plus the fact I had a job and I was working. And so that was just out of the question. So, again, the GED program, I think they call it adult learning now or something.
Adult education. But we still use that term,
yeah.
GED.
Yeah, those sort of things now, where it's at now, will fix an issue that you've had in your life, again, to put you back on that path of learning. So again, I encourage folks out there, don't be afraid of the process. It's easy. It does require a commitment from the individual. So you have to get things right to a certain point to say, okay, if I need to go to school at night, I need to be in a position where I can give up those 3 to 4 hours that it takes. Get those things right, get everything in place, and then you go for it, and you'll be successful with it.
Your story reminds me of our apprentices. And there was one time when I was aside from a bunch of other things I did, I was the director of apprenticeships at WireCast, and when we were first getting it started. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of my pitch to the industry. Back then, you didn't have a lot of grant money to support it. So the only thing I had to sell was the students. But I would say, this kid's going to work for you all day and then come out there and take classes with us at night. What else do you need to know?
That's right.
Most individuals aren't willing to put forth that kind of work ethic.
That's absolutely correct. And again, it's personal discipline and it's work ethics. All those things are rolled together. But really, that at the end of the day, it is just someone wanting to improve their place in life. Mm-hmm. That's really what it boils down to. And if they're willing to do that and they make the choice to do that, then there's opportunities here at WireCast and really other places as well. But for those type students and individuals, you will find more opportunities here at WireCast to be able to do those sort of things, to learn a new trade, to get your high school diploma, whatever those things may be, because that really my message to folks like that is, number one, you don't have to go down the road I went down. I went down it. I've had to learn things the hard way a lot of times. And if just this little message here can help someone ease through that process, then it pays big benefits for me at that point, because that's really all I've got that I can offer now, is for folks to understand that just because you've run into life obstacles, don't let those obstacles define you. You continue to work, continue to improve yourself, continue to be better than what you were even the day before. If you can find ways to do that, you do it. But if you're on that learning path, I have found that there's no end to the success that you can find in your life, because here's a guy that didn't finish high school, one of the highest elected officials here in Lowndes County. I run a $7 million business with 50 employees, retired from that, put that business, left it in the family's hands for them, for my next generation, the third generation, to operate that business. I don't know what else I've got to offer or what else I can really leave for this community. I love this community. It's been good to me, and that's why I do a lot of the things that I do. It's just simply because of the people in this community and the community that it is here in Lowndes County.
Well, we thank you for your tireless advocacy for educational institutions and the community itself. Yep. I appreciate it.
Michael, I appreciate it. It's always been my pleasure.
Well, welcome back anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.